Samyang recently sent me their 45mm f1.8 lens, and they said they wanted to sponsor a video where I take pictures of whatever I want using this lens. And I'm down here in Puerto Rico thinking, what can I shoot with this lens?
Those big protests in Puerto Rico, demonstrators are filling the streets once again. Look at this, they're shutting down a major highway in the capital.
Now, last week, I didn't even know this protest was going on. I happened to be in Old San Juan. I was bringing family down to visit and show them the beautiful city, and I saw the protest happening outside of the governor's mansion. I walked through the protest, I got a few video clips with my cell phone, and then I came back and I read about the protest. And if you guys have followed this at all, during the day, everything's nice and peaceful, but at night, of course, the riffraff start coming out. A few people started throwing rocks at police. Police had to retaliate, and things started getting a little bit more violent.
And then you saw the images of the tear gassing, of the cocktail molotovs that were flying from one side.
Now, you guys may recognize Robert. He's been in a few of our other videos down here in Puerto Rico. He owns the tour company. He's taken us to some amazing places to shoot videos here in Puerto Rico, but he's also an awesome photographer and videographer. And for the last week, he has been at every one of these protests. I started hearing that there was going to be a massive protest on the main highway in San Juan.
Protesters are calling for more demonstrations later on today, and they've also planned a massive march on one of the island's biggest highways on Sunday.
This is a moment in history that I will never forget. This may end up being the largest protest in Puerto Rico's history, and this may be the protest that actually convinces the governor to step down. So I packed up the Sony a7 III and the Samyang 45mm, and I decided to meet Robert at this incredible protest to see it for myself. All right, I just got to San Juan. The cops are blocking a lot of exits to get to the main parking area, so people are just parking illegally and walking from everywhere. Let's see how this goes.
The governor of Puerto Rico we only became familiar with him in the aftermath of the hurricane.
There's been a lot of anger about how he managed the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, how the government did not update the death toll, right? Like 3,000 Puerto Ricans or more died after Hurricane Maria because of the inept response of Governor Rosselló and President Trump.
Now, Robert told me that he thought over 500,000 people could show up to this protest. And I gotta be honest, I didn't believe that. I didn't think that was possible. We walked up this pathway, up to this 10-lane highway. This road is massive. I was asking Robert, are they honking because they're mad because all these protesters? Robert said, no, everyone is on board with this. The people in the cars are honking because they too want to protest the governor.
Feel the energy? Oh yeah!
The governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rosselló, is with us live from San Juan. Governor, thank you.
Thank you, Shepard. Thank you for the opportunity.
You made light of the casualties of Hurricane Maria. You casually tossed homophobic and misogynistic remarks. You were calling the Puerto Rican former New York City Council Speaker, Melissa Mark Vivierto, a whore. Of the oversight board that controls Puerto Rico's finances, you said, go F yourself. And when your representative to that board said he's salivating to shoot the woman who's the mayor of San Juan, you said you'd be doing me a grand favor. And after all that, who's left to support you? And is it even safe for you to continue to attempt to govern?
The whole plan is that all of these people were going to march from a side road onto the highway, march down the highway, and then spin around at an exit and come back.
We are on a major highway. This is the way into San Juan and the way south. And I want to show you what some of the protesters have just done. They are individually spelling out Ricky renuncia. Translation, Ricky resign.
There were people everywhere, young people, old people, families, children. The cops were also there, and I have to say, the cops were helping the protest. I think when you watch this footage from the nighttime where people are throwing rocks at the police and then the police are shooting tear gas back at them, it feels like the police are against the people and the police are on the side of the governor. I didn't get that vibe at all during this daytime protest. The police that I did see were helping people park. They were helping people figure out where to go. The few that were standing in the protest themselves were laughing and joking around with people. It seemed like they were having just as much fun with this protest as all of the protesters.
This is a democracy. Why is this opposition movement so special that it doesn't have to wait for an election?
Because the crimes committed by the governor are so horrendous that it cannot wait.
I didn't see anyone angry. I didn't see anyone throwing anything. I didn't see any vandalism. Everyone on this island was coming together for this cause that they all believed in, and everyone was doing it with so much joy. It was almost like a party. Everybody was having such a good time out there. Nobody felt like they were in danger, and it was a beautiful thing. As we walked around, it was hilarious how many people Robert knew. He was running into like friends and family members the entire time, and we passed this semi-truck where these guys were standing on top of the semi-truck, and Robert knew the semi-truck owner.
We're getting on top of this truck, apparently. Robert knows everybody here. Everybody.
We were able to climb on top of the semi-truck, and that was the first time that I was actually able to see over the top of this entire crowd. And at that point, I realized just how many people were at this protest. I don't think I've ever seen this many people in one place in my entire life. I mean, I'm standing up above everyone and I'm looking as far as I can. I just see a never-ending sea of people. I cannot see the end of this group.
You got 660,000 votes to be governor of Puerto Rico. By all estimates, there are more than that on the streets of Puerto Rico today demanding that you step down. And they've protested for 10 straight days. Today, the largest demonstration potentially in the history of the island. And you stand with firm resolve and talk about accomplishments. Do you hear them?
All right, where do you want to go?
Go to the middle of protest. Keep on protesting.
All right, let's go.
So as Robert and I were leaving, I asked Robert, do you think he's going to resign? I mean, this is the craziest turnout I could possibly imagine, and Robert wasn't sure.
The text messages are not the reason, they're the final straw. They believe your administration has been corrupt and cavalier about their own existence, and they want you to leave, and you're refusing to do so. What makes you think that these protests are going to stop, and are you afraid that you might not even be safe to govern?
No, again, what I want to do is continue on the conversation. There are some things you pointed out there that are important.
But you've refused to meet with the people who are protesting outside. They've begged you to meet with you. They've begged for a sit down, and my understanding is you've said no.
But last night, right around midnight, this happened.
We are in San Juan as I file this report. It is 1:30 in the morning. The governor of Puerto Rico has resigned in a shocking announcement. I say shocking because all day there were questions of whether or not he was going to. Was he? Would he not? There was a report that he had worked out a deal to resign, then backed out of that deal.
Now, Robert just called me and he said that the new governor that's supposed to be taking over for Ricky is also corrupt. So the protests are continuing until that lady steps down as well. Who knows what's going to happen, but I imagine if the Puerto Rican people are capable of going this far, I bet they're going to get what they want. Big thanks to Samyang for sponsoring this video. If you own a Sony camera and you're thinking about getting a standard prime lens, check out their 45mm 1.8. It works great for protests, but I bet you could shoot some other things with it too.